We've got the all-new BMW M2 in Toronto red.
Love it. There's no handle here.
Yeah, Zach.
Oh yeah, and we're off.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome.
So back to Andrea driving a stick, which is hot, Andrea. It's hot that you're driving a stick. A little quick story before we move on.
Yeah.
The first time Andrea ever drove a manual transmission was years ago when we started dating. I had a BMW M6.
Yeah.
The original M6, very cool car. And Andrea tried that for about a minute and a half and said, yeah, I'll stick with an automatic.
It was really, really tough. Or is it, did I not have a good teacher? No,
well,
just kidding.
Well, who taught you how to drive stick the second time?
Yeah.
All right, let's get into what's under the hood of this beauty.
A 3-liter twin turbo inline 6 with a 6-speed manual transmission or an 8-speed automatic transmission, 353 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque, standard rear-wheel drive.
Oh, she's quick. It goes to 100 kilometers an hour in 4.1 seconds or 60 miles an hour in 4.2. So you got to stick around. After Questions, Coffee, and Cars, we have a segment called Hot Topic. Should you buy this or the M240? Right now, what do you get with an M2?
The base trim comes with a 14.9-inch touchscreen, BMW operating system 8 with navigation, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, a 12.3-inch digital driver display, Vernasca leather upholstery, powered and heated M Sport front seats, driver's seat memory, a heated steering wheel, and hi-fi sound system. In the US, the heated steering wheel is not standard. As with any BMW, you can add packages and a la carte items to this model to make it your own.
There's all those M buttons over there.
Certainly are.
So what else can we use? What can we do?
Oh, you got to put it in S for subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the Couple Car Review, twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure you like and subscribe, but also follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea to see what's going on behind the scenes. For me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button. So it worked. I had an M6 and then Andrea agreed to marry me. So
I don't think it was just about the M6,
no, it didn't
but
hurt.
yes, you think it
and
was.
And my CD collection.
Yes,
Come on.
the CD collection was big. I think it's still in the garage.
It's in the shed, yeah, because I worked in radio and I got all the free CDs.
Yeah.
So here's the trick, boys. If you want to land a hottie like Andrea, get an M car.
Get an M6 and then teach her how to drive manual on it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't come with a manual. I don't, does it? Anyway, we're in the M2. We've really enjoyed...
No, I was talking about the old M6.
Oh, the old M6. Oh, okay, yeah. Well, those are really spendy now.
Yeah.
So, Andrea, how are you enjoying your time with the M2?
Oh, I like it a lot. Wow, like what a vehicle. This is a true BMW. The suspension is firmer, it's dynamic, it's exhilarating, the steering is sharp.
Yep.
Whoever gets in this is going to love it. Would I want it as my daily driver?
Well, that's coming up again in our Hot Topic.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing. This is really the throwback car. We're going to talk about it again in Questions, Coffee, and Cars. The M3 and the M4 have gotten really porky, really quite big. This one is the smaller, nimble cousin. It really is the essence. Rear-wheel drive, no all-wheel drive, that direct steering. It's what BMW built their whole brand on. This is the essence of the brand.
And if you think about the M3 and M4, which are bigger vehicles, as Zach just mentioned, they share the same powertrain as this, but this has been detuned by 20 horsepower. So this really is a small package, but mighty.
It's the whole power to weight ratio, the wide track at the back, the direct steering, the feeling of the car. There's a lot of people buy these just because of the showbiz, right? Hey, I got Andrea because I had an M6. But they just love the look and they love what it stands for and having the best that the brand offers that don't need this much power.
No. This comes standard with M adaptive suspension. It's got active M differential and it's got M compound brakes. And you can, of course, individualize all the settings in here. It's almost overwhelming because it does so much, whether you put it in comfort mode, sport, sport plus, M mode, it's a lot.
You can change the steering, the throttle response, the suspension. You can change all of that. Back in the day, you bought the car and one way, that was it.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. And so there's way more creature comforts in these modern cars as well.
But if you are in an area that has rough roads, even in comfort mode, this has got a firm suspension. You're going to find this to have a pretty rough ride, even in comfort mode.
Okay. The outside of this thing, this is called Toronto. If you're from America, it's Toronto. If you're Canadian, it's Toronto. So if you want to practice along with Canadians, it's Toronto red.
Yes.
And the thing is, I love the color. I love the look of this car. When we drove the 240, I remember saying at the back, the lights look kind of goofy and looked like they were maybe from Honda.
Yeah.
Because this has the flared fenders at the back. It absolutely looks and works, and it's a fantastic looking car. You got feedback on Instagram. People don't like the look of it.
No.
Are you guys drunk?
The feedback is either you love it or hate it. It doesn't seem to be anything in between. I really like it. I think that BMW has done a good job. I actually think it's pretty conservative looking.
Yeah, for them.
Yeah, for some of the styling. Like if you look at some of their EVs, for example, like the iX, wow.
Or even the 4 Series with the big teeth in the front. So this has got the classic kidney design, and it's very blocky. Like the openings at the front are very square. The car is very blocky. If you actually know your BMW history and you look at the original M3, it was very blocky as well. It had the squared fenders. It's a throwback to that original M3.
I really like the frameless kidney grille. I like the 50th anniversary badge, and even the details on the side of the vehicle as well as the rear. I think that BMW has done a good job with the styling. So if you don't like it, be nice. Remember, looks are subjective. This comes standard with LED headlights, available adaptive LED headlights, LED taillights. It's got an M exhaust system with quad tailpipes. It has an M rear spoiler and then staggered wheel configuration of 19 and 20-inch wheels, and you will find a tire repair kit. On our test model, we have the carbon package, and that includes the carbon roof, which makes this a little bit more aerodynamic. And then we move to the inside with the carbon seats and the carbon trim.
All right, these seats. It's one thing to look at them. They're skeletonized, so there's holes around the shoulders and where your kidneys are. It's actually nice because there's no ventilated seats, and you do get a bit of a draft through there, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
However, it's the getting in. There's very high bolsters, and then there's hard plastic, it's not plastic, it's carbon looking anyway, piece in the middle, and your thighs are touching that, getting in and out. It's not the car you want to be getting in and out of with a skirt, is it, Andrea?
No, and I think even for guys, like, I'm not sure that you guys like that situation there with the hard plastic.
Where your business is?
Yeah, like, I don't know how great that is for you guys. These are not the seats that I would get, but they are comfortable once you're in them.
Yeah, they obviously did it to show them off, and they've got the kind of gaudy looking tricolor on the inside, a throw or a tip of the hat to the M colors. So anyway, you decide whether you like them or not. So this has the single panel iDrive 8 system. Kind of mixed on that. I do like the fact there's still the iDrive controller. However, Andrea, I don't like the fact that you cannot configure a classic analog looking anyway tachometer or rev counter.
Yeah, I think that's a problem for some for sure. I would like to see a proper rev counter as well. I like the clean look in here. It's definitely driver focused. I get the point of BMW. A lot is done in the screen now, but there are quite a few buttons still at the center console, and you've got the controller as well. The heated steering wheel button is on the heated steering wheel, but if you want to put on your heated seats and you want to adjust the climate, you've got to go into the screen to do that, plus all your drive modes.
Okay, so back to the TAC for a moment, which is why Porsche, the most important dial in their instrument cluster is a TAC. It's always at the center, and that's what you look at quickly when you're driving a high performance car. This is off to the side, and it's a bar, and I just want to look at it and quickly adjust. I don't like it at all, and I've gone through it. It might be in there. I cannot find it.
There is so much information in this screen. You will be overwhelmed at first. And it is an adjustment that a lot is done in the screen. Many manufacturers moving to this type of display.
So I would call this a 2+2. There's 2 seats in the front and there's 2 seats in the back for kids. I didn't show me getting in because that's really unglamorous. I did, however, get in there to get the camera back there, and I'm showing you the amount of legroom behind where my seat is set. And I actually have some legroom. What you don't get is headroom. Best for kids. All right, Andrea, my coffee cup's over here.
Great questions.
Great questions.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
The weight and powertrain of the M2 almost make it an M4. Does the M2 still drive like a small car? That's always been its charm. Yeah, it drives like a small car.
This car, the last generation and this generation, actually the original 1M, to me was the replacement for the original M3. So the M3 has gotten bigger, the M4 has gotten really big. This is really the successor to those two cars.
This is 4 inches longer than the previous model, and the wheelbase is 2 inches longer. But in comparison to something like the M4 now, it's almost 9 inches longer than this. So yes, this still feels like you're driving a small car. I mean, this thing is feisty.
The one thing you get from those cars is the same track, right? Or a similar track. So the wheels are wide, you get the big ass in the back, which I love.
Yeah, I like a big ass. I have one on order. The 2 things I keep hearing are the brake squeak or squeal, and that is it doesn't have low end torque on the manual transmission. Are any of those true? I'll start with the brakes. You talk about the low end torque, but this model that we have, the brakes do not squeak. But the issue with high performance brakes, like these M compound brakes, is that we're using this vehicle mostly as a daily driver. But where it really needs to be is on the racetrack, because you're not...
Or the Autobahn.
Or the Autobahn. You're not putting enough pressure on the brakes, which can lead to squeaking. But how do you fix that?
Well, you can source other pads, right? So you can keep the calipers on the rotors, and you could find out if there's a pad that maybe doesn't squeak as much, as a little softer. Or you just beat on the brakes once in a while. Yeah. It's designed to go on the track. It's designed to do that lap after lap after lap and not put too much heat into them. So you need to put some heat into the brakes and use them. So what was the other question again?
So
the low
end torque.
Okay.
It is... You're not wrong.
Yeah, so with this new generation of inline 6 engines compared to the previous models, it's the same for the 240 and for this M2. Yeah. The torque band has moved up a little bit. So when they first brought in the inline 6 with the twin turbo engines back in, well, a long time ago now, in the mid 2000s, full torque came on at about 1500 RPM, which is really just above idle. Yeah. Now it comes on closer to 3000 RPM.
Yeah.
And the reason why you notice it with the manual over the regular 8-speed or the dual clutch is there's more gears, right? So you've got 2 more gears in the 8-speed versus a 6-speed, so that's why you feel it more with the manual.
I think this is one of the last true driver's car, the perfect size and power. Would you guys get this over an RS3? So one thing is we haven't had the chance to drive the brand new RS3 because it's not available in Canada, only available in the US. And I think the sad part about the RS3...
What's the sad part? Wah, wah, wah.
There's no manual transmission offering.
Yeah, the last one had it. Yeah. So those are going to be highly collectible.
And also it's all-wheel drive. This is a rear-wheel drive model. But the reviews that I've watched on the RS3, people who have driven it, they say that this is a more dynamic experience than the RS3, which is typical of Audi. But some might find that the RS3 is a great daily driver. It doesn't beat you up day to day. I find that this one I would prefer as my second vehicle if I had the budget for it.
And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
Is the M2 worth it over the M240i if the goal is a daily driver? Does that not sound amazing? Amazing.
You don't get tired of that. All right, so can I just go back in time, Andrea, talking about the previous 2 series, not the current 240, because the previous 2 series, in my opinion, was the best BMW you could buy for the money. It was available with all-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. It was available with the inline 6-cylinder. It was available with a manual transmission, and it was available with a convertible. And BMW, why did you get rid of all of that? So now the new M240 is all-wheel drive only, automatic only, no convertible. Still a great car, but that's the main difference. You can get a manual.
Yeah, there's a huge difference in price between these two. I'll use Canadian pricing. This is over $76,000 for the M2, and the M240i is around 62,000 Canadian. So if you're just looking for a fun vehicle that's a great daily driver, it doesn't beat you up, and you're getting an automatic transmission anyway, I think the 240i is perfect. I think that you will really enjoy it. You know, the perfect vehicle for me would be the 240i with a manual transmission and a convertible.
They used to have that, Andrea.
Sad.
They got rid of it. All right, enough about that. We can cry the crocodile tears all we want.
And we will.
All right, let's get into the vital stats of the M2.
Let's start with pricing. In Canada, this starts at $76,500, and in the US, just over $63,000. Prices tested just under $96,000 Canadian.
Here's the fuel economy. The M2 with the manual transmission gets a combined 12.4 liters per 100 kilometers. With the automatic, the combined fuel economy is 12.7 liters per 100 kilometers. That's 19 miles per gallon for the manual, 18.5 for the automatic. The warranty is 4 years, 80,000 kilometers, or 50,000 miles. BMW offers complimentary maintenance for 3 years, 60,000 kilometers, or 36,000 miles. So you want a fun car that still has a manual? Here's what else you can buy.
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Porsche Cayman GTS with a 4-liter naturally aspirated flat 6. 394 horsepower and a starting price just under $100,000.
The Mustang GT with a 5-liter V8, 460 horsepower and a starting price of $48,500.
The BMW M4 3-liter twin-turbo inline-6, 473 horsepower and a starting price just under $88,000.
The Toyota GR Supra with a 3-liter BMW-derived inline 6-cylinder engine, 382 horsepower and a starting price of $72,500.
So there are 4 fun sports cars still offered with a manual transmission for you to consider.
Lightning round, 2 things we like, 2 things we like to see improved.
Well, I mean, you just can't beat the performance of this M2.
I love the fact it's still available.
What I don't like is getting in and out of these seats.
And I want a regular analog-looking tack in the middle, please.
The M2 lives up to the tagline, the ultimate driving machine.
Expensive, but fun.